There are new Kindles.
New
Led
Kindles?
by my favorite, Panos Panay, who was previously at
yeah.
Microsoft running Surface, and he left and went to Amazon and now runs hardware at Amazon. And this was the first Panos kind of product unveiling. And you can see the difference in that they decided to actually have an event and they unveiled an entire range of Kindles, which is not usually how they do things. They usually like do one here or there, but they're like, no, here is a lot of new Kindles.
A lot of Kindles.
Put a link in the show notes to the most recent episode of the Vergecast where they had Panos on. Panos is a great interviewer. I actually got to interview him once, and it was a great time. He's a very, very thoughtful person who really cares, and he's a good salesman too. But like you could tell he I don't know. I like the guy. He's got a lot of heart. Anyway, so they have a bunch of products. I'm going to just talk about them real quick, and then you can touch on the things that you care about because you're the e-reader guy. So we've got the Kindle Colorsoft, which is the first color e-ink Kindle. The new Kindle Scribe, so they've redesigned it a little bit visually and made some changes. They've put some new software features in there, so you can take your notes with your Kindle Scribe. It's like a pen on an e-ink screen, and they can give you some AI summaries of your handwritten notes. And they've put some new ways to put notes on books. So you can write your notes on a book, and it will flow the text around your notes. That's really cool. They have a new Kindle Paperwhite, which has faster page turns on a larger screen, and then a new entry-level Kindle. And some of these Kindles have color options on the cases too.
Yes.
So
the big Kindles. Yay! This is the foremost e-reader podcast. So, first thing is they also discontinued their, I think 2018 Kindle Oasis is finally officially dead, which was the last Kindle that had page turn buttons on it. And, every time this comes up, people say, well, I don't need buttons to turn. I just tap the screen and it's fine. And I'll just say, obviously, for most people, that is the case. I hate it because it makes the ergonomics of holding it, for me, awkward, and I have to shift my finger. So if I get a good grip, it doesn't matter because when I need to turn the page, I need to either use the other hand or I need to shift a finger or whatever to tap or swipe in order to move to the next page. Whereas I can rest my hand holding my e-reader with my thumb on the page turn button and then just kind of sit there and go click, 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 click without moving my hand. Mm-hmm. So I prefer page turn buttons. I think that they should be an option. Amazon first thought that they should only be on the very high end, and then now they think that they shouldn't exist at all. So I'm disappointed by that. If you like page turn buttons, I think the answer is you should probably buy the Kobo Sage, or you could get the Kobo Libra Color, but it's not as good a screen as the old Libra 2 was, or find a Kobo Libra 2 on eBay or something and just get that. That's what I still use day to day, is the last generation. I bought a Kobo Libra 2 case, which I already have one, but it's kind of beat up over the years, and they were putting them on clearance at Kobo.com, and I just went and bought another one because I have basically, I'm like, okay, this is the one, this is my e-reader I'm going to keep using for the most part, is the Kobo Libra 2, so I might as well, because I noticed on my last trip, like, it was really beat up, and I was like, oh, it's a shame that they don't make this anymore, but it turns out they still had some cases left in the warehouse, so I bought one. Anyway, so I'm a little despondent about the state of e-readers in the sense that I think page turn buttons are important, but a couple things. I'm really encouraged that Panos Panay is involved in Kindles, because it felt like for the longest time Amazon wasn't really paying attention to Kindles at all, and that they didn't have a strategy, and they would like do stuff in the background. They did a big software update that I think dramatically improved the usability of the Kindle. I'm generally disappointed in the trend in e-readers. Like, I'm not offended by the idea that people who are reading text on a e-reader is a niche market. That a lot of people just think phones are fine or iPads are fine, which I don't. But a lot of people do. So it's a very niche product already. So I'm not offended by the idea that they're trying to find other ways to push this technology. But it seems to be the thing that they've found is using pens and taking notes. And the problem I have with it is that's not a use case for me. So it's great for others and all that. I had somebody ask me, are you going to review the Kindle Scribe? And my answer is what it always is, which is it's too big. It has a pen. That's sort of what it's about. I'm just not interested in that category. It's just not a thing. Above a certain point, for people who need to like mark up PDFs and stuff, I think it's kind of a brilliant idea, although you could also use an iPad. But I've heard positive things about marking up documents on a Kindle. So I'm not interested in the Scribe at all, which leaves us with the Colorsoft and the Paperwhite, really. Colorsoft isn't out yet. It's coming out in a week, I think.
Okay.
It is their first color Kindle. They resisted this for a long time. E-Ink has been making color screens because E-Ink is a company. E-Ink has been making color screens for a while, and like I said, Kobo just did a turnaround and did the color screens. And the problem is
And the remarkable
that the color
one too. They have a
yeah.
I know it's not an e-reader, but like
right, but they're out there, right?
Yeah.
And there are issues with them where the DPI is I think half the points per inch is half of what it is for the black and white. So your black and white text is crisp, but your color is not that crisp. But still, interesting. The problem is that it also puts a gray cast on the back of the screen that actually reduces readability of text because now it's black on kind of speckly gray instead of black on very light gray to white. Amazon made some sort of claim about how they've got like their color is different and they've got different lighting and it sounds like what they're implying is that they have somehow overcome some of the limitations of the color screen. I'll believe it when I see it. But I think that's interesting because Kobo just came out with these color versions and discontinued some of their black and white readers like it doesn't matter, it's okay. And I'm not sure I believe them. So we'll see if that color is better than the color on these other devices. If Amazon is beaten back somehow, I assume they're still using E-Ink's technology, but if they've done some things to modify it, like we'll see. I will throw out there though, this is a 7-inch, I think, reader. It's not huge because a lot of people are like, "Oh, you read comics on it." It's like I've tried to read comics on readers this size.
I mean, also
just too.
The way I read comics is not available, right? Like Marvel Unlimited is not on Kindle.
That's true. That's true. You got to buy comics on Kindle. Although, or if you did Kindle Unlimited, I think you get some comics. Anyway, it's not ideal. However, here's the thing, and I don't know the answer to this question, so I'm just going to put it out there, and we will find out the answer probably in a week, which is Kindle is also Comixology. They sell comics. They've merged it all into the Kindle store. You can buy individual issues of comics. You can buy trade paperbacks. They use the Comixology technology. It's in the Kindle app on the iPad and on the iPhone. It's called Guided View. I don't read comics this way because I read on a big iPad. But the idea was that Comixology built this thing to make comics readable on iPhones. You double tap and it will take you. It's built into the metadata of the comic. It'll take you page by page or panel by panel through a comic, which means you don't have to see the whole comic. It will lead you through the individual panels, which are then much larger, which makes it more readable without you having to kind of pan and zoom, which is really bad on an e-ink screen that doesn't have a high refresh rate. So my question is, and they didn't, as far as I can tell, they didn't say anything about it. My question is, does the Kindle Colorsoft do guided view for comics? Because if it does, it could be a decent comic reader. And if it doesn't, why doesn't it, right? Because it's literally their technology. So either it's going to be better for comics than any e-reader has ever been, or I don't know what Amazon is even thinking.
Or a missed opportunity, like a severe
Huge,
missed opportunity. It's like, why even
missed
own
opportunity.
Comixology, like if you're not going to...
Exactly. So we'll see.
They specifically call out comics and guided... and graphic novels like as a thing for this.
Yeah,
and like
right?
The image that they show, it looks good. Like they have a panel from Miss Marvel.
Sure. But
like,
but is that, am I getting there through guided view? Because I read an issue of Saga on the Kobo, and it's just like panning and zooming. Oh, it's so bad.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Jury's still out. I ordered one.
I'm excited to
I will
see.
review it, but it's not here yet. I have the Paperwhite.
Okay.
It's reminded me of all the reasons why I like physical page turn buttons, but it's good. It looks good. It frustrates me. It also doesn't have a light sensor. So when I'm reading in the daytime, I have to swipe down and crank up the brightness. And when I'm reading at nighttime, I turn it on. It's super bright and I have to swipe down and crank down the brightness. I'm like, how expensive is that light sensor part? It's in older Kindles that are, I guess, higher end. Like, I don't know why they left that out. It's a real degradation of the quality of the product, and the Paperwhite is not the entry-level Kindle, so I don't know why it does that. But it looks good. The software is good. I'll write a review of it. The use cases for people who... It used to be that Kindle was way worse for people who use libraries than Kobo, especially since Kobo at one point was the same company that did Overdrive, which is libraries. However, if you have more than one library that you're a member of, Kindle's way better because it uses Amazon's infrastructure to fulfill the books. Whereas Kobo, you log into your library and it only lets you log into one. So that's kind of interesting too. So my gut feeling now is, despite all of my frustrations, I think the best, if you e-readers last forever, you don't need to upgrade them very often. However, the best general purpose e-reader right now is probably this new Paperwhite. I will, write my review and see. I also want to throw out one suggestion to our dear friend Panos Panay, who is obviously listening to the world's greatest e-reader podcast. And you heard Mike say nice things about you.
Mm-hmm.
If we're not going to do page turn buttons, which I think they're really good, how about alternate ways of turning a page that don't require you to move your fingers? How about something like, at one point, they had a pressure-sensitive side where if you gave it a squeeze over a certain area, it advanced? Or how about an accelerometer? You already have one, at least an accelerometer, because you can do portrait to landscape. But like the other way I was thinking you could do it is if you get it kind of like in your hand and you've got a grip, what if you use a finger to like tap the back, like do a double tap or something, and it advances the page? You could do that maybe. And that wouldn't require a moving part and a button that you have to protect against water ingress and all of that. Just please find something that isn't moving my finger and putting it on the screen, because I would really like that. But anyway, so that is, I'll have more follow-up, Mike, as we go down this path with the new Kindles. Very exciting.
Look forward to it.
Who knows? Maybe one of these days we'll bring back Scott McNulty and we'll just do an e-reader blowout. No promises.
No
I know
promises.
we did that though in a very early episode of Upgrade. We just did a whole thing with Scott where we talked about Kindles, and Mike got to make a sandwich. So
Hey, I was
there we are.
I had a good time. I was just listening.
Yeah. You just listen to me and Scott talking about Kindles, as you do.